So what if you could actually take complete control of your emotional world? For real. What if other people no longer had the power to ruin your day? Sounds pretty good, right? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how to do that. Let's jump in.
We've all been there, right? That one little comment or maybe a single email, and bam, your whole day is shot. You're just spiraling. But what if I told you that your entire reaction is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of how your own emotions actually work?
Get this, because it's a total game changer. 90 seconds. That's it. There's a fascinating neurological truth that the actual chemical rush in your body that we call anger, it only lasts for 90 seconds. So any anger you feel beyond that minute and a half, well, that's not something happening to you. It's something you're actively choosing to keep alive.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with anger's 90-second secret. Then we'll completely debunk the myth of the button pusher. After that, we'll uncover your own personal superpower, the pause, and get some practical tools for what I call emotional fitness. And finally, we'll see how you can take back the pen and control the entire story.
Okay, first up, let's dive into that 90-second secret. Honestly, once you understand this simple biological process, it changes everything. This is the absolute key to reclaiming your power.
So how does it really work? It's a surprisingly simple three-step process. First, something happens, a trigger, and boom, your body gets flooded with stress hormones. That's that physical jolt of anger you feel. But, and here's the crucial part, those chemicals are designed to completely flush out of your system in just 90 seconds. The only reason anger lasts longer is because we hit rewind and start replaying a mental story about what just happened, basically re-triggering ourselves over and over and over again.
And this, right here, is the choice point we have in every single one of those moments. You can either just acknowledge the feeling, take a breath, and let that 90-second chemical wave just pass through you, or you can choose to feed the fire, rehearsing the story in your mind, planning your comeback, and keeping that anger alive for minutes, hours, or, let's be honest, sometimes even days.
Okay, section 2. Now that we've got the 90-second rule down, let's go after a huge myth that keeps so many of us feeling powerless. This whole idea that other people can push our buttons.
We say it all the time, don't we? Oh, he just knows how to push my buttons. We say it like we're helpless, like we're just a machine and someone else has the controls. But the real truth is, nobody is pushing your buttons.
They are simply revealing them. Think about it. A button only works if it's actually connected to something, right? Those buttons are your own unhealed spots, your own insecurities. The other person isn't the problem, they're just a spotlight.
What they're really doing is handing you a map. They're showing you exactly where you still have some work to do, where you still need to heal. So that person who triggers you isn't your enemy. They are actually an unintentional guide, pointing you directly to your own inner work.
So if people are just revealing our buttons, what exactly are they revealing? Well, this brings us to another big secret about anger. It's almost never the real emotion. I want you to start thinking of anger as a security guard. It shows up, looks all big and tough, but its only job is to protect something much more vulnerable and fragile inside.
So what is that anger hiding? Usually, it's a more tender feeling, like hurt, fear, or maybe shame. It just feels a whole lot safer to get angry than to admit, wow, that really hurt my feelings. So the next time you feel that flash of anger, just ask yourself, what's the real, more vulnerable feeling underneath all this noise?
On to section 3. Okay, so knowing all this is great, but how do we actually change our response in the heat of the moment? This is where we talk about your superpower, the pause.
This idea, inspired by the incredible psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, is so profound. No matter what happens to you, there is always a tiny moment of time before you react. It's a space, and inside that little space lies all of your power and all of your freedom. The wild thing is, most of us live our entire lives and we don't even know that space exists.
So how do you get into that space? You do it by activating what we can call the observer self. This is the part of your consciousness that can simply watch your thoughts and feelings without getting all swept away by them. It's the calm, centered you that notices the storm, but isn't the storm itself. This leads to a really crucial shift in your identity, and it all comes down to language. The reactive self says, I am angry, which fuses your whole identity with this temporary feeling. But the observer self simply says, I notice anger arising. Can you feel the difference? You are not the emotion. You are the one who notices the emotion. That tiny shift creates all the freedom you'll ever need.
Section 4 is all about tools for emotional fitness. All right, let's get super practical. Think of these like exercises at the gym, but for your emotional well-being. These are specific strategies you can use to start building that inner strength and protecting your peace, starting today.
One of the most powerful tools out there is the reframe. Stop seeing difficult people as obstacles and start seeing them as your own personal emotional trainers. For real, that micromanaging boss, the old thought is, they don't trust me. The new reframe is, awesome, they're helping me train my calm under pressure skill. That critical person in your life, they're just helping you build up your resilience muscle. This isn't persecution, it's practice.
Another absolutely essential tool is boundaries. And here's the best way to think of them. They aren't walls, they're gates. And you are the gatekeeper of your energy. You decide what comes in and what stays out. So saying something like, I understand you're frustrated, but I'm not going to continue this conversation if you're yelling, isn't aggressive. It's just a calm, assertive statement that protects your energy.
And this brings us to our final and most empowering idea of all in Section 5. Everything we've been talking about, it all comes down to this one simple fact. You are the author of your own reality. This is so important to get. We don't react to reality. We react to the story we tell ourselves about reality. The event itself is neutral. It's just data. The story you wrap around it is what creates the emotion. And the best news in the world, you can always, always choose to tell a different story.
Just look at this perfect example. You get a short, blunt email from your boss. The victim story says, oh no, they hate my work and they want to fire me. The result? Anxiety and defensiveness. But the author's story says, okay, they're probably just busy and want to help me improve quickly. And the result of that? Curiosity, maybe even a little gratitude. Same email, different story, completely different reality.
Now, knowledge is great, but practice is where the real transformation happens. So here's the plan. Don't try to do everything at once. For the next week, pick just one tool. Maybe it's the observer self. Every time you feel triggered, just silently say to yourself, I notice anger arising. That's it. These small, consistent steps are what actually rewire your brain and create massive, lasting change. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Just really imagine it. Who will you be? What could you create? What kind of energy would you have if other people's behavior simply no longer had the power to derail your peace? That person is absolutely within your reach.